7 on Sunday's podcast is intended for mature audiences. Episodes discuss sensitive and fraught topics that many teens and 20-somethings face, but may be triggering. The content may not be suitable for all audience members. Please take caution when listening. So hello and welcome to our show today. We are doing something new and different that we haven't done before. We're just having a conversation between Dr. Chez and I. And we're doing that because we are in the process of writing a book. And the book is about the impact of porn culture on young people. And some things are just so clear to us that we have these conversations and we're like, we need to record these for parents, for other people out there, for young people that are questioning what is happening in our culture. So we're going to talk about Love Island, but I'm just going to give a short example of what happens, I think, when we start to imbibe the scripts that are handed to us through television, through media, and we get it through music and podcasts and TikTok and all different kinds of things. But one thing that I noticed a while ago was the Bachelor, Bachelorette series, when young women would run up to a guy and they would strap their legs around him. That was like so indicative of like, we have this great sexual chemistry. And it was like almost like I want to say it was almost like a one-up of the other girls, like who could like perform the connection and the sexual chemistry they had with the guy in the series better than the other girls. It was like, and it was like to the guy, it was like signaling like, I really like you. I can't wait to like rip your clothes off kind of a thing. And it was something that like in the wild, I had never really seen. I mean, maybe if you hadn't seen I'm Dr. Chez, shake your head or raise your fingers how many times you ever strapped your legs around Doug. I just have to laugh about it because I've never done that to my husband, probably not even on our wedding day. And we have fine sexual chemistry. So it's a very interesting phenomenon. And what I noticed is now that's like just, you have to do that. That is like the rule. If you're not running up to your guy and strapping your legs around him, he thinks you're not interested anymore. You're not performing your thing well enough. And it's weird. It's a phenomenon. So anyway, that's I start that with this because Bachelor has sort of gone by the wayside. I don't even know the last time a Bachelor series has been on, and maybe I'm just not paying attention, but I know there was one and then it got canceled, and I feel like Love Island has sort of like blown up in its place. It's like the thing that young people are watching. And someone said to me last year when I was watching it with my kids, because we were traveling together and they were watching it, and I was like, what the heck are you guys watching? They were so obsessed with it. So I started watching it with them, and then of course I got into it. But somebody said to me when I was talking to them about it, they were like, yeah, that's why Bachelor, nobody is interested in Bachelor anymore because it's so tame. It's like weird. And I'm like, okay, this is really strange. So anyway, I'm just going to give you a little preface of what Love Island is for those of you who don't watch it, whose kids are starting to watch it, who you hear your kids are obsessed with it. It's basically a dating game show where you have approximately, I think it's like 6 guys, 6 girls, and they try to make connections on the first night. There's a lot of making out with everybody. It's completely open. You make out with whoever you want to, which is very strange. I would like, if I'm thinking about how I make connections, it's not by me making out with everybody. It's like, how do I actually, like, do we have something to connect on? Do you make me laugh? Do I like who you are? What the things you tell me? Anyway, it's really all just about sexual chemistry. And then they kind of pair up, and maybe for the first day or two, they're in bed with their girlfriends, but then everyone kind of, gets into bed with whatever guy they've kind of hooked up with. And then every couple of days, they'll introduce a new bombshell, quote unquote bombshell, who comes in to sort of stir things up. And that person will come in and make out, like, I don't know why. That's like always the entree. It's like you come in as a bombshell and you have to make out with everybody. So they make out with everybody, and then all the people are tempted, and there's a guy bombshell and a girl bombshell, and everything gets upset, and oh my God, they're into this person. And it's really weird because it's like 3 weeks, and it's 3 weeks, but it's an intense 3 weeks. So it's not really like 3 weeks. You might say it's equivalent to like 3 months because it's very unrealistic. This is not how things happen in the real world. You're not with someone 24/7 once you meet them. They're not making you breakfast. And then the producers, or the idea behind it, is to literally stir shit up as much as possible with new temptations, new bombshells, not really revelations about people, but really more just like bombshells coming in and trying to take your man. It's interesting. It has amped up, I don't know, maybe the way we date, maybe the way we look at relationships. It's very interesting. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Chez because this is my area of expertise is culture. Her area of expertise is relationships. And I got to say, culture is really messing with relationships these days.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to say, obviously. Okay, so there's a couple things at play here. And one is that these producers, over this amount of time, have figured out how to hook us. And I say us because I am definitely hooked now, and I wasn't before, which means that these scripts that you're talking about that are at play are influencing all of us. And I do have to say, what you were saying about the Bachelorette is I have kind of had these little visions of, oh, I kind of want to run and jump through the air and be like, hi, honey, welcome home from a hard day at work, and mount him and have him pick me up and, whatever. So it plays with your mind that, oh, this is the new fairy tale. This is what's supposed to happen because it's on TV and we're watching it over and over and over. And so, in the same way that fairy tales have been this perpetual myth, we're now creating this highly, highly sexualized, confusing myth of the way we're supposed to relate to somebody we're interested in, right? Whether it's the person you're already with or a new person. Anyway, I want to talk about the hooked thing. When Love Island first came out, at least as far as to me it first came out, during 2020, my kids were home from college and grad school, and they were watching it, and I would walk by and I'd be like, what is this? Because it just sounded so stupid. And even the filming of it was weird. I was like, is this really reality? What is this? I was questioning, and they're like, oh, it's just, for fun, whatever. And now I am on the complete other side of that. I'm no longer walking by. I am looking forward to my 9 o'clock show, and I say it's for research purposes, but I am now like, oh, what are they going to throw at them now? Who's going to be gyrating with who? How is this all going to work? And as a relationship therapist, I have to say it's really boggling my mind, because the basis of a healthy, happy relationship is trust. And what's happening here is they're playing big time with trust, and they're merging the goal of, I want to find my true love, my partner, my forever person. That's what you hear them say, with highly sexualized scripts and making out with multiple people blindfolded and all that kind of stuff. So they're saying this is the goal of, let's find our person, but at the same time, let's kiss 20 or 10 or 12, whatever it is, people, and not just kiss them, but like you're saying, mount them and gyrate and all these other things. For me, it's like this experiment that is really dangerous. It's not just that it's entertaining. I also look at it through the lens of, this is dangerous, because this is teaching. There are 13-year-olds that are watching this. There are 20-year-olds. And this is teaching all those people, males and females, oh, this is how you do this. This is how you do this. This is the new Cinderella. They even had a Cinderella episode where you put the shoe on, but first you lick every toe of 10 people. It's just like, oh my God, that's so unsanitary. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, that's my immediate take on it, is it's hooking us, so it knows what to do. They know what to do to hook us. And it's kind of like the horror film thing of, like, you don't want to watch it, but you do, and that's been researched, and there's, names for that stuff. But it's like, that's where I am. I'm like, I don't want to watch this, but I am. So that's a first thing. And then in addition to that, it's in this guise of finding true love, but it cannot happen this way, guys. Like, I'm here to tell you, none of them work out, because in this setup, it's a setup for disappointment and a lot of heartache. But I keep watching.
in Bachelor land, I used to say this is so unrealistic because nowhere in no relationship, I mean, maybe some, are you being flown off to Fiji or being flown off to this location and you're like having this time, like life is very different from reality TV. Despite the fact that they are probably working on the scripts, they're editing it so we're seeing what they want us to see, which I'm sure they're taking the most salacious bits so that, whatever. But the thing is that is seeding ideas into young people. And like you said, there are 13-year-olds watching this. What is it telling them? Once these couples have paired off and the bombshells show up, then eventually people are kind of like settled into this relationship and they separate the guys from the girls into different houses and they deliver a new set of bombshells, one for each guy. And in the case of the girls, they got two for each girl. And how did they attract the guys? How did the guys attract the girls in their new house? Well, the girls came out and they did full on strip club porn acts. I mean, this is literally nothing more than a porn script, what these girls are following. And this is no shade to them because this is what they have to do. And I think that there's probably a little bit of groupthink that happens. Like once you see your competition out there with the guys that you think is cute, you're probably like, oh, I got to amp it up a little. I got to do a little bit more than she did. And then the guys have to come out and they have to do like a Chippendales act for the girls. I gotta say, kudos a little bit to Bryce because
Chippendales was tame.
Chippendales was very tame. So is friggin' strip clubs, by the way, in some ways. But like Chippendales, but kudos to Bryce who went out there and was like, everybody's showing their body. I'm gonna actually go out there and try to be a little bit funny. I love that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna like okay, like a little like a half a point. Like what my daughter does is really funny. She starts them at like 0. Oh, they do something good, they get 5 points up. They do something bad, she brings them back down. But anyway, so to see who's like a good guy. But anyway, I'm not even kidding you when I say there are girls with their butts in guys' faces with the thinnest piece, the smallest piece of material that, in all honesty, I swear you can see labia. I wouldn't be surprised if it's peeking out, but the camera is all up there. Like the shots that pornography shows. Like, how can we show? Do you know, interviewing porn stars, I do know one thing. The reason, like, all these people try to reenact what porn stars do. Porn actresses will tell you, I don't know why people try to reenact what we do. The reason we do the positions that we do oftentimes is so that the camera can get as close to our vagina as possible. And that is literally what is happening in Love Island. It like the camera couldn't be any more zoomed in on these women's literal vaginas. Like literally it's like their vagina and their butthole and the guys with their hands pulling apart their butt cheeks. I'm like, it's disturbing.
In that particular episode, this was what we all saw, and maybe there was another entree, but this was their hello. This was first meeting these people, apparently. The girls walk in, this is their hi. I don't even think they said their name yet. There's just kissing and butt cheek spreading and ass in your face, basically. This is hello. This is how I first meet you. That needs to be like thought about because this
Such a
is
good point. Such a good point. I
this
don't
is
even
you are
I
an
don't
object. You are a thing. You are not a person that even has a name. You are a highly sexualized thing that comes in and I'm going to be all over you.
That's a really excellent point. When I talked to Cece, who is a porn star, loved her, girl I love that she was in my TED Talk. That's what she used to say to me. She's like, on a porn set, I don't even have a name. She's like, it's so degrading. She's like, they call me meat. They call me that. They call me it. Nobody ever calls my name. They call us like cunt. Like literally, that's what they call the girls on the porn set. And I think you're so right. How friggin' degrading that you don't even have a name. You come in there and it's not anything about you at all. It's not anything about you. That's like so sad. Anyway,
It's your
our point is
performance.
not, our
It's
point is to discuss this, but our point is also how do we have conversations about this with our kids? I watch this with my daughter as much as that might horrify me at times and her at times. I think it's a really important thing because she's going to watch it with or without me. And at least I can interject like my thoughts. We can kind of play off of one another. Like, what are you thinking about that? Like, and it makes me happy. I was saying to Dr. Shez before, I had a dentist appointment yesterday and I had to get allergy shots today. And both of the girls who were helping me were like 26 years old. And so of course I brought up Love Island. And it was interesting to hear how what both of them thought. One never watched it past the first episode. She was like, "I think it's so wrong and raunchy." She's like, "I've watched it before." She's like, "But the fact that you make out with everybody," she's like, "it's just teaching us as young people to expect open relationships and where we're not supposed to be hurt by things that happen and that that's the way we talk to someone." And I was like, "Grace, I love you. That's amazing." And then my girl from my dentist office was like, "I watch it with my mom and my sister." And my mom laughs. And her mom's like a good mom, is like a good kid, you know. This is no judgment against her mom, but I think there's a lot of questions like, how do I talk to my young adult who's going out into the world, who is dealing with young men who, like the men who used to watch Bachelor, who are anticipating that the girl who really finds their sexual chemistry great is going to run up and wrap her legs around him. How does the new girl who watches Love Island and the young boy who's grown up watching Love Island, what are they expecting? Especially as Dr. Shah said, on the first meeting, you're getting someone's asshole in your face, like literally someone's asshole in your face. What is the expectation? That is a really important conversation that we need to have with our kids because I'm going to give a little bit of a background on the slow indoctrination that comes from a pornified culture. And by that, I mean pornography has been available in every kid's back pocket since 2005. And little by little, we have upped the sexual ante in our culture where, you know, I think it was like 2009, Teen Vogue was like how to have anal sex that it isn't painful. What? That was Teen Vogue, okay? There's a thing in pornography, the extreme pornography. It's not even extreme really, because it's actually on like the landing page, but it's called hate fucking. And that is like extreme, you know, aggressive, violent sex. Hate fucking, there are literally what do you call it? Spotify playlists called songs I want to be hate fucked to. There are articles, I think it was in Grazia magazine, how to hate fuck your frenemy or whatever the title was. I'll put them in the references below this. But little by little, like the proverbial frog in a pail of hot water, we are being fed things to normalize behavior, to normalize a hypersexual culture that literally demeans women. Choking is a big one. Um, there, there are umpteen videos that you can, or you know, things you can watch on TikTok on how to be choked safely. There is no such thing as safe choking. And if you think that kids don't know about choking, first of all, I can tell you a million scenes in movies. If you watch for the hand going around the neck, this stuff becomes something that people really, I'm going to explain it really quickly. If you get aroused to something that you see, and pornography by definition is meant to arouse you. So if you get aroused by something that you see, and it is paired with something that's violent or something that's sweet or something that is kind, those two ideas wire together in your brain. But unfortunately, on porn sites, there is nothing kind. There is nothing sweet. There is nothing soft and loving. It is aggressive. It is violent. They are upping the ante constantly. There's multiple partners, gang bangs, there's hate fucking, there's all different kinds of things. So when a young person lands on this and they see it, They're aroused because that's what happens to our bodies when we see naked people and we anticipate sex is going to happen, our bodies respond. But when we pair that with something that is violent or aggressive or choking, a hand around the neck, then we start to see those things. Our brain starts to know those things together. They're wired together in our brains. So we can do things that are uncomfortable to us because our sexual brain is taking over. Our sexual brain is saying, yeah, I want a guy's hand around my throat. And that's part of me being alluring. And I'll give you an example where maybe parents can relate to this. How can a kid find something like, how can there be a Spotify playlist that says songs I want to get a hate fuck to, created by a girl, by the way? Um, because one time I went to a bar with nothing but 45 and 50-year-olds, and the band started playing Pour Some Sugar on Me, and every single female rushed out onto the dance floor to do her best 1990s stripper act. And it's because in 1990, the sexual script that was put on us women was the stripper. And so we performed as the stripper because it felt good to want people to desire us. And in the same way, young people, the young people today that are watching Love Island want to be desired. It's like Dr. Shez is going to tell you why. Why do we want to be desired? We want to be desired. We want to be part of the group, of course, but we want to be sexually desired. That's also a big part of it. Maybe it's keeping the species going. I don't know. But we want that because those 50 and 55-year-old women, they wanted the men around them to find it desirable. It was literally muscle memory for them to do a strip act to pour some sugar on me. So anyway, I leave you with that because I'm concerned about what are we leaving for our children? What messages are they getting if we're not interrupting the cultural narrative that this is okay, that this is acceptable to see the guy you like make out with your friend tomorrow after he's had sex with you yesterday? Like, what?
There's so many things at play here. So a lot. Oh my God. I mean, I think we could talk for hours about this. So yesterday we spoke with a woman who was talking about her son. I can't remember how old. She has two boys, but I can't remember how old. And they were talking about the whole looks maxing thing and the rating and all those things. And I bring that up because I do think this is a confusing mind fuck for boys too. I think it's both. I think it may have been before even more for women, like you're saying with the portion sugar on me. It was incumbent upon the woman to be the sex pot. Now I also think with Love Island and other things that and the looks maxing and all that stuff, the boys are part of this too. Stephanie and I recently published an article in Psychology Today on pornmaxxing, which Stephanie thought of that term borrowing from looks maxing because it's what these young people are doing now is maximizing their performance for desire, performance of desire and for desire. And desire is an egoic thing. It feeds the ego. It feeds the, okay, if I can't be worthy in other ways, I'm worthy of this attention, even if it's sexual attention, even if it's negative attention, it's something. So, I think it's incumbent upon all of us, and I don't think this is just parents, but I can say particularly for parents right now, if you're wondering what to do with this thing, there's two really important first steps. And that is one, do what Stephanie is doing. I can't watch this with my kids, but I talk to them during it and I say, oh my God, did you just see that? I try not to say, oh my God, but I say, did you just see that? Like the hands on the neck. And my daughter will say things like, I'm sorry to call her out, but she will say, and she's not the only one, she will say, that was hot. And I'll be like, what's hot about that? Let's think about that. Like, what's hot about that? But I feel like that's that programming in action that her first thing is, oh my God, that's hot. And this is not to call her out because I think most people young people are now programmed to see that as hot. Why? Because they've watched enough of the scripts in movies, music, other things, and porn, but all of it to say, like, yeah, when he does that, that's hot. That means he really, really wants me. Like, I'm so desirable that he's just got to envelop me. So that's wrong. And dangerous, as we learned from the leading expert in sexual asphyxiation. But there is no safe way to strangle. I'll say that again, as Stephanie reiterated. But I think it's super important that we, number one, are in the room. If they're going to watch it no matter what, which a lot of them will, they'll find a way. It's a phenomenon. Even I am hooked. So it's a phenomenon. If they're going to watch it, we've got to be in the room. We've got to be there. We've got to be willing to watch it too. And suspend our own judgment, suspend the oh my gods, because that's the first thing that a parent who's seeing something for the first time is going to think, oh my God, what is this? That kind of thing. What that does is shuts kids just down immediately. So as a therapist, you're trained, do not react to anything. Priests get that, like, in confession or whatever, do not react, just be the recipient of whatever it is. And that takes practice, but it's really important to not have those reactions. We can have them with our friend, we can have them with our podcast co-host, we can have them with whoever, but not with your kid. So suspend the judgment, be in the room, and then ask a question that's really with the motive of exploration, not lecturing, not giving the information yet, because you can't do that yet, but asking the questions like, how does this land for you? I love any question that starts with a how. That's a little tip, like start it with a how and say something like, how does this land for you? And like Stephanie's daughter is doing, if she's giving them ratings, that's great. Hey, let's continue this game. What made that go down a level, or what made him go up a level? How did that work for you to raise it of 5 points? So I think that they have to come to their own conclusions about this, and the way we can guide them there, and we can give them our experience too in time when trust is there with this thing. And we're earning trust in every single moment. It's not oh, I trust you now, so I'll open up. It's in every moment you want to earn that trust. So when they get to a point where they can be like, well, this feels really yucky. And we had a girl who didn't use those words because she's so darn smart. This is like a nuclear physicist type. That's what she's studying, girl, in college. And she said to Stephanie and I, you know what? Every single one of my friends is watching this show. Of course they are. And she said, I'm kind of left out of the conversation because I chose not to. She said, I chose to give up that and a lot of social media because it made me feel bad about myself. So that's another question, is to say, how does this make you feel as a young woman or a young man? How does what you're seeing there impact you emotionally? Or you can bring in the script theory stuff of this is a script, and how does that land for you with watching this thing? Does it make you think that, oh, this is the way it works, this is what I'm supposed to do? Or does, as this girl said, this makes me feel really bad about myself? Because she's like looking at these bodies are auditioned and perfected. Stephanie said yesterday, like, there's not a hair out of place anywhere on these bodies. Like, the hairs are non-existent or hairing, however they're hairing. But like, it's perfected, right? So that makes all of us feel like, well, I don't act that way, look that way, emit that energy, all those kind of things. And so I love that this young woman was like, hey, I'm going to go against the grain and I'm going to choose not to watch this. So I think supporting, we're going to have her on our podcast, but I think supporting those kind of decision making too, of like, yeah, something that makes you feel bad, like we don't have to watch it. I feel bad watching it, actually. I feel like, wow, I gypped my husband of a lot of stuff, and that's not true, but when I watch that, I feel that way. So that's a starter.
And I will say, I mean, I'm someone who is very constantly having conversations like this with my kids, and you are going to get pushback. Like my kids push back against me, like my son, like I'm like, how does that make you feel? And he'll be like, it's funny, like he'll give me like because of course, but what they can't undo is say what can't be undone is that you can't unplant those seeds. That is a seed that's being planted that says, I need to question my culture. And I think if Dr. Chez and I accomplish anything with our book, with our podcast, with anything, I think for me, one of the biggest goals I have is to get young people to question their culture, to chart their own course, to be brave enough to go against the tide of what everyone else is doing, and to honor themselves, to honor what it is that makes them feel fulfilled and happy. And honestly, it was so clear. I don't know what episode it was, like 15, 14, I don't know. The episode where the guys go over to Casa Amor and all of the girls sit there watching television. And for all the bravado and the bravery and the social conditioning that we can have these open relationships and that, we're supposed to be casual about things, every single female except for Jen was sad. She's the only one who didn't have a partner. It didn't matter whether you had sex with your partner like Kata, or you had just been sleeping in bed next to him like Amira. Is that how you say her name? I'm always saying it wrong.
Anaya.
Both Amaya, Amaya,
Anaya, I think.
Anaya,
I think so.
Anaya,
I don't
gorgeous
remember.
girl. Anyway, she's with Casey, whatever her name is. Some of the names escape me, but anyway, it doesn't matter how sexually, how far you've gone sexually, there was still sadness, and it just showed that like it's all a lie to pretend that these things don't matter, that like we're okay with this. And that's one of the things I've thought for so long. This whole idea of this culture of just having sex with someone and then trying to develop a relationship afterward. I don't know, call me old fashioned. I feel like something happens when you have sex with someone and you want to feel like someone sees you, like somebody wants you, like you are unique and you can't easily be replaced. That's what we all want. I don't care. I don't care how horny you are. Everybody wants to feel that way. Horniness is one thing that can pass. Go masturbate. Okay. Like, I don't know. Good. Like, but being seen, being desired for your character, like,
Being
was it
chosen.
being
Being
chosen?
chosen.
Was it the girl, the Paralympian who said, I hope that the least interesting thing about me is my sex? Was it on this show?
I think it was that. Yeah, I
I
think
think,
she's Bea. Uh-huh.
or maybe it was Anaya. Maybe she said, I hope the least interesting thing about me is my sex. Like, I was like, oh my, that might have been the greatest comment of the entire thing. And I do want young people to say, like, I hope this is the least interesting thing. I can be, I can have all kinds of chemistry. Like, chemistry is chemistry. Like, that's the other thing, is chemistry is chemistry, right? Like, there were people I kissed and I was like, oh, hell no. Nothing more than kissing is ever going to happen. There's just zero chemistry, right? Like, so chemistry is chemistry. You can't just keep having sex with everyone just to prove who you are. You can't create chemistry where there is none, right? Like, so there are people with chemistry. I think there's some people on the show with some really strong sexual chemistry. I'm not sure about anything else, but really strong sexual chemistry. But you can't fake that, You can't also fake being interested in someone. Like, not everyone is that interesting. Not everyone is like unique for you. Like, you have a million things that make you who you are. And what scares me is actually we're just trying to perfect these things that are superficial instead of perfecting the human that we are.
Yeah.
And that scares me. Like, how much time can you take to get ready, to work on the body, to work on all these things? Work on the human. Work on the human. Who are you? What do you bring to the table as a human, as a partner? That is far more interesting. What do you do in the world? What have you done for other people?
What makes me sad about the opportunity of this show is that, like you said, they're in Fiji, they're away from everything else. So they are 24/7 with each other. And they're having, I think I kind of learned last night, somebody spilled something or said something about, the hours that we spent together talking. And I'm like, oh, we haven't seen that. We've seen all the sexualized stuff, but we haven't seen the hours of like deep conversation and friendship building. They do develop friendships, girls with girls, guys with guys. The bro romance thing is actually pretty cute because they're buddies. They're like having
I
these
think
deep
it's a little more than a
conversations.
bromance. I'm gonna be so for real.
It's kind of
I've
funny.
watched enough TikToks to see.
No, yeah, it's kind of funny. But so they're spending all these hours, but we're getting the most salacious, raunchy. And again, this is impacting and influencing the 13, 14, up to 20, 30. My son watches it. He's 30, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old. This is influencing everybody and letting them see the chosen parts that sex sells. So the sex stuff is going to be there. But last night, when Bryce was like having his little moment of saying, I kind of miss Tiffany. She laughs at what I laugh at. Like we have this little thing.
Her
And
name is not Tiffany.
what's her name?
I don't think her name is Tiffany.
Oh, I don't know I don't know any of their names other than I thought her name was Tiffany. Is it something else? Maybe it is
Yes.
something. Serenity? I don't know. They're sincere and is there a Serenity?
Trinity.
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 Trinity, thank you. Okay, you're so right. So he's like, I miss her. And I was like, okay, thanks for showing that moment. And that's where if I had a young person with me, I might say, so how does this feel in opposition to all that, hello, nice to meet you, I'm going to gyrate all over you. How does that moment feel? That's the real deal of like, as cheesy and whatever as we might think that could be, it was my favorite moment because I'm like, yay, he's realizing that it's a little more than that. And I understand what you're saying, Steph, about you can't fake desire, but I will say this. The human body responds. If someone is going to be in a negligee type, I don't care if you're Superwoman or a football, whatever you're going to dress up as, if you're in the thong thing and you come at a person all over them and you're going to kiss them, the body is going to respond. And it was a setup for these guys and the girls that like, you're not going to really say no to that. And one girl talked about like turtle kissing and, so there was some where they're like, ugh, yuck. But they still did it, number one. And they were still aroused. Like the point is the body doesn't differentiate until afterwards to be like, okay, I'm not really into that person. And that's why we saw the boys like find their person, even though, man, that was quick that they find their one person. And then they say, will you be in my bed tonight? Do you want to sleep together tonight in the bed? Not maybe have sex, but be in a bed, which is even more intimate, really. And then I want to say one more thing about sex. The most vulnerable we can ever be as humans is emotionally vulnerable, like deeply sharing our most shameful, like hard thing for ourselves. And sex, that is an extremely vulnerable situation. And especially in today's day and age. And then for them to do this on national television is like really vulnerable. But the fact that that vulnerable place happens so soon, and then we're not seeing the other emotional vulnerabilities develop, again, how confusing that is to a teen and them thinking, or anybody, okay, if I just do the sex thing, then I'm going to get the guy because here we are, we're sharing something, we're vulnerable here. And that's one part of the puzzle, but it's not the full-on healthy relationship part of full Monty of the puzzle. So I think that all these things are really important to find ways to, as Stephanie is saying, is to help young people question culture and be like, okay, so what about this feels different? And what about this would you do differently? and those kind of things. And then I think teen role models. I think the parents can say it all day long, but when another young person speaks up, that's really important. That makes a difference. When my son told me his favorite person was Anaya, because Anaya is holding to some, she's now, poor thing, given in and just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna bring it. Now that I saw what
Well,
Casey
we actually
one,
haven't seen, well, not
he
really.
brought it
Okay,
last
kind
night.
of. Kind
She,
of, but not to the extreme of some people.
yeah,
She's trying to put it out there, but thank
yeah.
God
And
she's
they
holding
don't
on.
know if they're being filmed for the boys to watch. But that whole thing, usually when betrayal happens, we don't see every nitty gritty detail and the
And
trauma
hear the comments.
and hear the comments, the trauma that that induces on people. I know that Love Island has psychologists on staff, and thank God, because the trauma that this kind of stuff is inducing, I'm here to tell you, like, that's for somebody that felt like they were in a very trusting, vulnerable relationship, and some of them, even though it's only been, however many weeks, thought that, to watch that and not react. Thank God they have each other, but to not react and have a kind of traumatic betrayal response is ludicrous. Like,
But
that's
also,
natural.
like, I noticed that I think young people are less trusting of their partners when you see things like this. And I'm not saying you should be trusting, but I'm just saying it sets a really bad, like, bomb off inside of you that makes you suspicious of everything. And there's already a lot of, like, as soon as you open up TikTok, like, how do you spot a narcissist? How do you spot this? How do you spot that? But then this is like, this just sets it up like every man is a cheater. Every man just wants, and is that true? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think that that's true. But I understand how it would make me feel. Like, I remember, and my mom would be totally fine with me telling this story. My mother was like, do not marry an Italian. Italians cheat. And she said that because her sister married an Italian guy and he cheated on her. And so this idea that there was like this machismo Italian, of course, my husband's Italian. I don't think he's a cheater at all. Um, but like my sisters both married Italians too. Like it went to the other, didn't really work, but I did always have it in the back of my mind that Italians are cheaters. So that came from my mom, and it's pretty easy to write off your parents. But when you see girl after girl after girl having these guys who say one thing, and then 5 minutes later, they're with a girl with her butt in their face, and they're like, oh my God, this is so hot. I've already forgotten about Trinity. Like when you see that, what does that tell you? That's like what my mom said times 1,000. And I really wish what I was talking about with the girl today at my allergist appointment, as I was like, I wish there was a counter like game show to this where it was like people took their time. Like, remember, like Love is Blind? There's like that show, like Love is Blind. It's kind of a weird premise too, but like in some ways, it's like we need the opposite. The people who are like, I really, truly want to get to know who you are as a person, and I want to try to develop a relationship that's healthy, because again, the message has been for so long, have sex first, build a relationship next. And I'm not judging that for any reason. This is not about like slut shaming or anything. I'm just saying it's not the healthiest way to build a relationship at all. Like there are levels of intimacy that you have to build in order to get to the apex, which is physical, sexual intimacy. And when we have bypassed all of the other levels to see if we can trust someone, to see how they respond in times of stress or, how loving they can be, when we've missed who they are as a spiritual person, how collaboratively they are able to work or how much fun they're able to have. Like we've missed a lot of things about them. And all we've seen is like their sexual side. How do we build a relationship that way? It's really hard. It's really hard to do that. We talk about that in the book and we're going to talk about it more other times. But like it's all backwards. And I just think this is just yet another example of reinforcing in young people that this is what comes first. Knowing people isn't that important. It's really just about, you know,
Here's what
performance sex.
here's what I would challenge the producers. If anybody on Love Island happens to be listening to this, watching this, I would have loved, I would have jumped out of my seat and loved if one of the guys or one of the girls, I don't care who, stood up to say, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. But hey, I'd love to meet you and know your name. Like, I'd love to not play this the way I'm supposed to and to stand up. That would have shook the whole thing and maybe been the best rating ever. And it would have given that countercultural thing to say, like, here's another way. And here's a guy. I mean, literally, Bryce's little moment of, hey, I kind of whinily miss Trinity after he'd already, like, done his thing. But that was my favorite moment because I was like, okay, thank you. Thank you for keeping that in there because that's the real deal. Yes, when you make a real, authentic connection with somebody outside of this, sexual thing, that does stick. That does matter. That does mean something. That means somebody sees me and I see them, or I feel
And he
safe
loved
with
her sense of
them.
humor. Like he
He
was like,
loved her
she
sense of
gets.
humor. She gets my jokes. Yeah.
I will say though, in the last season, they did have Belle A, and she was Christian, and she held on to like that one baseball game that they played. And then she was like, okay, I'm getting nowhere in this game. And she literally turned it on and she became a stripper in that moment. And I was like, it's really hard. It's really hard. It's really hard to go against the tide. I'm going to just say that. So I think we have to have a little bit of compassion on our young people because I can't even imagine what this is like. I can't even imagine. I've given this example a million times, but like I remember going to the Madonna concert and she was masturbating on stage. And then my group of girlfriends and I thought that that was like the way you should dance, like grab your crotch. I think a lot of people did that back in like the early 90s, you know? I'm pretty sure that was offensive to every person at the third edition in 1990. So I apologize to whoever, whatever grown adult saw us doing that, gyrating on the dance floor. I'm sorry. I got my messaging from Madonna. But sadly, our kids today are getting their messaging from Love Island. And I think we have to have grace for them, and we have to have compassion, and we have to engage with them in conversations without being like totally scandalized, because for them, they don't know any better. They really don't know any better. Their culture, like I said, has been amping up to teach them this for so long.
Imagine if one of them did that last night or the night before last. And that's what I think we can offer to kids is the scenario in that way, using this forum, but to say, hey, what would you think or how would it feel if one of these guys said no? Would you have more respect for that person or would you feel like, oh my God, they're not playing along. They're going to get voted off. And they probably would get voted off. But because it's a survival game too. It's like you want to stay there. And the more coupled you can be, you get to stay there. But I think that that's the point too, is if they can't imagine a scenario outside of this because it's been so enculturated and conditioned, then we can offer those kind of things if we're in the room watching, if we're non-judgmental and not doing it in that way, and if we're offering this as a possibility. I think that's what it is expanding possibilities. And that Bryce moment is a perfect opportunity to say that was vulnerable of him. He was almost crying, I think, felt like
Yeah.
it. And I think that that's a place to say, how do you feel about what Bryce just did? Because I'm a little bit blown away that he's willing to say this on camera or whatever, because that might get him voted off.
And it's also an opportunity to say, back when I was dating someone, you know how we let them know that we like them? We cared about them. We created a mixtape, or we did, whatever, or
Our
like,
friends told him. Our
you
friend was
know,
like, hey,
yeah,
she
like
likes you.
it's
Yeah.
a way to tell stories too about like take the opportunity to tell the story of like, why do you think this doesn't work? Or what experiences did you have maybe in college where things like this happen. Like maybe things got messy. I know I had a friend in my friend group who started dating a guy that I was dating over the summer. It's a long story, but he never even showed up for my birthday. He was supposed to be there. I waited and waited and waited. And this is before we had any kind of cell phones. So I never got a call. Finally, I called him. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm not coming. Anyway, he was with her, I'm sure. But anyway, how did that make me feel? How did that make me feel? Like, this is like in real time. Bryce is asking, who did he ask?
I forget who he was with. It wasn't his
Bryce is asking, Bryce is asking Zach if he can ask Kada
Oh, right.
to see if there was chemistry between them. What the heck?
Right.
The heck? So in real time, like these people are dealing with it in real time. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think we've said enough. That's our introduction. And we hope, if anything, maybe you'll sit down and watch an episode tonight of Love Island with your kid and ask questions.
Please read our Pornmaxxing.
Oh yeah, read our article.
Look up Pornmaxxing psychology today.
We'll link it below.
Oh, that's true.
It's called Pornmaxxing and it's about Pornmaxxing and Love Island. And you'll start to understand a little bit of what we're talking about how culture has really changed sexual behavior and dating and all kinds of things. And Love Island is really just a petri dish of that experiment. So thanks for listening. And we'll do another one of these cultural catch-ups very soon.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of 7 on Sundays.
The 7 on Sundays podcast represents the opinions of Dr. Chez Leeby and Stephanie Boye based on our experience. It also shares the stories, behaviors, and opinions of our guests that we do not necessarily condone or view as healthy. 7 on Sundays is an open forum to discuss what is happening with our listening audience. Some names and details of our guest stories have been changed to protect their anonymity. This podcast is not a substitute for mental health treatment. If you are in crisis and in need of mental health support, please call 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It is free and confidential.
Join the conversation and connect with us through our website, 7onsundays.com. That's the number 7 onsundays.com. We encourage everyone to do their own research. Thank you and be well.